Welcome back to Markets Today. It was a day when the benchmark indices dipped by about 0.4%, but the mid-caps kind of held their ground and the advanced declines were only marginally in favor of the declining stocks. 7 declines to 6 advancing stocks. Markets in somewhat of a standstill mode ahead of that big FOMC meeting that will conclude later today, and we should know the result by 11:30 p.m. tonight. So, is the bull market already past its prime? That's the big question that market experts are asking each other and trying to answer. And we thought we'd get you some thoughts from 2 market experts, Ramdev Agarwal and Punita Kumar Sinha.
This time, the kind of thing which is happening, what I can feel is that it's people have messed up with the .com, they messed up with the leverage. I think this time it's a boom about the quality. And I mean, as Buffett says that, let me know where I'm going to die, I'll not go there. So I think the world wants to go into quality and growth. Basically, they are looking for growth and more particularly associated with quality. So QG is the place where bull run is happening right now, so far, and it could go out of hand.
The previous bull markets in India have been accompanied by very strong corporate growth. This time around, the bull market is happening in an environment of very low corporate growth. In fact, corporate earnings are at the worst ever quarter almost. The government and the Modi win and all the hope has driven the market. The liquidity globally has driven the market. But corporate earnings have to deliver. And so I think the bull market could still have more legs if corporate earnings start coming through, but it is going to be pushed out a little bit because I think it's taking a while.
Okay, optimism still continuing on what seems to be a long-term bull market views coming in there. Let's move on to the short term now. Time for some technical perspectives. Sudarshan Sukhani is joining in. Sudarshan, thanks for being with us. Range-bound day, all-important Fed announcement tomorrow. How have you read the picture?
Good evening. Markets had a narrow range day today, and that was to be expected because we are in front of a big news event, the Fed meeting that is now going on in the US. The Fed meeting, output is going to affect all emerging markets, including India. In anticipation, probably, the Nifty has now gone into a huddle, into a very narrow range. So that is good news for us because that range now defines the boundaries beyond which a trade will be available. So we have resistance somewhere around 87.40 and support at 86.20 approximately. It's a very narrow 120-point range. If tomorrow morning the markets go above 87.40, we should be buyers and ignore the gaps if there are any, just buy. If the markets go below 86.20, we should be sellers. I think a breakdown below 86.20 will tell us that the tops have been made for many months now. So tomorrow probably we'll get a strong direction and traders should go in that direction.
Yes, I guess that is to be expected, Sudarshan. But any individual stock ideas?
Well, a lot of stocks are giving us buying as well as selling opportunities. So for tomorrow, we'll take a buy opportunity, and that is Hero MotoCorp. There was a sharp correction. In fact, a mini bear market in Hero Moto. That bear market may be coming to an end. Actually, we'll know tomorrow because the Nifty will go in one direction. But assuming that the Nifty decides to go up, consider buying Hero MotoCorp. A small base building exercise is going on. For the last 1.5 months, it's in a narrow range, developing a base. And if the markets are cheerful, this base could easily break on the upside. So keep the context in mind. And if markets are cheerful, consider buying Hero Moto.
All right, Sudarshan, many thanks for that. Let's now move on and talk about the company that could be making its debut on Dalal Street. Reports suggest that Indigo is preparing to launch 2,500 crore rupee IPO between April to June this year. Sonia Shenoy is now joining in with some more details. Sonia, what are the numbers looking like? What's your analysis saying?
Well, thanks for that. Yes, the activity is hotting up in the skies. Reports indicate that India's largest domestic aviation company by market share, Indigo, is all set to come out with an IPO and list in the capital markets. There are reports indicating that the company is looking to raise 2,500 crores through the IPO route, and it will raise this money to fund its expansion plans. It is looking to, buy about 530 Airbus A320s worth about $48 billion, and is also also looking for an option for 100 more planes worth about $10.2 billion. So we'll be raising money to fund this expansion plan. IndiGo, as I mentioned, is India's largest domestic airline by market share. As on Jan 2015, the market share of IndiGo stood at a whopping 36.5%, gaining a lot of market share from SpiceJet in the recent past because of the issues that SpiceJet faced. Also, IndiGo has substantially increased its load factors as well, which stand at about 85.2%, the second highest in the aviation industry. IndiGo has been the most profitable out of the entire aviation lot, and by the end of FY15 is expected to register a profit of around 2,200 crores. So let's see how this listing shapes up.
Fair enough, it's the season for IPOs, but this one we have to wait a bit. Well, a number of stocks like Tata Motors, BHEL, NTPC were buzzing in trade today for stock-specific news. Let's go to Mangalam for a wrap of the stocks that were in the news today. Mangalam.
Thank you for that. A lot of stocks in focus. We start with Tata Motors as the February Jaguar Land Rover sales disappoint. Total volumes were down by 1%. The Jaguar volumes were down by 3%, while Land Rover volumes were down by 1% as well. M&M, on the other hand, was also in focus as the management says the tractor volumes, the outlook on the tractor sales actually looks weak, and they expect a single-digit growth anywhere between 5 to 7% for FY16. BHEL was in focus as the Tamil Nadu Electricity Board scraps bids for 1320 megawatt Udangudi project in the Tuticorin district. NTPC was also in focus as the company goes ex-bonus from March 23, and the stock was active as the traders were playing for the arbitrage. Also, Jet Airways have announced that they have paid all the TDS dues, including interest, to the Income Tax Department. Bhushan Steel was in focus as the lenders are in talks to restructure the company's $3.7 billion debt. Madhukon Projects was in focus as the company wins an EPC contract for NHAI in Tamil Nadu. And finally, Specialty Restaurants was in focus on the back of a large deal. Close to 10.3 lakh shares were traded on a block in NSE today at 185.25 rupees. With that, back to you.
All right. Thanks, Mangalam, so much for that. Now, before we wind up, let's go across to Ashish Chaturmota of Fortune Equity Brokers for some trading ideas.
We are recommending a long position in Aurobindo Pharma. Stock is trading near its all-time high, and we have observed a build-up of almost 18 to 20% on the long side. One can initiate a long position at current levels with a stop below 1250, and on upside we expect the stock to cross its all-time high and target somewhere around 1330, 1340 levels. PSU banks are witnessing some amount of short build-up, in that Canara Bank is one stock where we are witnessing some amount of short below this 406, 407 levels. So at current levels one can initiate a short position keeping a stop above 410, and on upside can expect a target of 388, 387 levels.
Well, with that, we wrap up this edition of Markets Today. But before we wish you a good evening, do stay tuned to all the Fed action live on CNBC TV 18, which starts at 11:30 p.m. tonight.